Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today's pick a card is potentially the starting of a kind of semi-regular series. It's going to depend on whether you guys like this or not. But if you saw one of my recent community posts, I was saying how I'd done a couple of pick a cards, one that had just published and one that I had scheduled for later, that near the end of it, in a very general sort of reading that was the sort of topic of the pick a card, I had two times where you could ask a specific question and get a kind of timing or yes, no type of answer and some other information around that. And I felt that worked quite well, and so it could be good to occasionally have mini pick a card videos where that's all we do. There's not a topic that we're looking at. It's you choose the topics by choosing your questions. So for each of these piles, and I'll put down the numbers, the one number for each. So number 1, number 2, and number 3. There'll be 3 questions in each of these, and we're going to have a look at a kind of yes-no timing element, a wild card element, and then some advice from the tarot deck, a card that is advice from the tarot deck, and a card that is advice from the stars. So that's going to be for each question. So I think these will be pretty quick, though this is the first time I'm sort of trying this format, so we'll see. And as I say, I'd be really interested if this works for you. You can go to more than one reading. I mean, if you had 6 questions, then definitely go to more than one reading. But what I would suggest is sort of like tune in and try and work out which questions fit with which reading. And the way to try and differentiate the energy of the readings is that I'm using different tarot decks for the tarot part of the advice for each question. So interestingly, what I did was that I asked Spirit, I shuffled and I asked Spirit for a card, the first major arcana card, to be the indication of an energy to draw people for the right reading. So for White Fly Tarot, which is what I will use for the pile 1 questions, I got the Moon card. Then I shuffled for the Lilith and the Machine Tarot for pile 2, and I got the Moon card. So then I thought Spirit was making a point. And I thought, it makes sense in a way, because the moon is where things are mysterious, where things are a bit hidden, and this is meant to reveal some answers for you. So instead of shuffling for pile 3 for Holy Spectrum Tarot, I just agreed with Spirit that the moon was a good way of differentiating. So this is the Holy Spectrum Tarot. So as I say, those are the decks I'll use for them. So that may help you be drawn if you don't have a particular preference. Otherwise, as I say, if you are wanting to do more than 3 questions, then maybe work out what ones feel like, say for argument's sake, the White Fly Tarot, and what ones feel like Holy Spectrum, or whatever the choice is that you might make. Beyond that, as always, it's just completely up to you and how you choose. The timestamps, as always, are in the description box below, and I'll see you in your reading. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So a very, very empty space to start with, which is somewhat unusual for my sort of readings, but I've shuffled the Moon card back into the White Fly Tarot so that it will be accessible if it's the advice or the extra information that Spirit wants for each. So we're just going to do this one at a time, as I said. So what I want you to do is I'm going to now shuffle an oracle that tells us things around timing, yes, no, that kind of energy. We're going to get that for the first part of the question, and then we'll look at the other information with the other decks for the question. So please think about your first question. If you're not sure, pause the video. If you want to meditate into it a bit more, pause the video. But when you're ready, then unpause the video and, just as I say, think about the question. And so the answer to your first question, pile 1, is yes. The timing around it is moving quickly. This is the Knight of Wands. So obviously a fire element. It suggests that there's something about action, movement. It's a classic, the Knight of Wands is a classic moving house, moving job, moving something type of energy. So certainly if you are thinking about, should you change your job, should you move, is it time to sort of like, speed things up, any of those sort of things, the answer is yes. But time is not going to be specific for you. We don't have a timing where this is where something is going to occur. It's just that things are moving fast, so action is required. So there's something around action. It could be passion, it could be ambition, as I say, or it could just be movement. One of the things to be aware of with the Knight of Wands is, like the Knight of Swords, they tend to kind of rush in without thinking. And that's because of the sort of passionate and the speed energy of Wands and Swords. So there could be a little bit of a caution, given that time is moving quickly, while the overall answer is yes, to make sure you use your energy the best way possible. If you wanted a no, then think about whether you are moving too fast, whether in fact you need to kind of slow things down. We're going to get a wild card also for you around this question. This says work, something that takes an effort or employment. So for many of you, this is probably about work in some way. It could be literally a job. It could also just be that there is some work needed to manage this time moving quickly, that there's some organisation, some form of structure to what you do, so that, as I say, you use all the good energy and the sort of positive energy of the Knight of Wands, but you're not going so fast that it gets out of control. But for any of you that it's around next step up in work, whether that is coming through, I think the answer would be yes, but there is some effort that you bring to it yourself. Let's get you some advice also around this question from the stars, from the celestial realms. Sixth house. Oh, this is, I do think if you come to the right reading, there is something about either your service to others, your day-to-day work, or something that has to do with the routines that you need. So if this isn't technically about that, then you know, and for some of you it is, and absolutely for some of you this is saying it's absolutely the right time to sort of move up the ladder, to apply for the job, to think about your next step, to start a new project, whatever it might be, because there's lots of opportunities, but time is moving quickly. So definitely for anybody that's around that, it's a very, very strong positive sign. For anybody that was asking about something else, there is something about service to others and how you organise your life. So even if this was a question about love, for instance, it's saying that everything is moving fast. There's a kind of a concept here about, it could even be things are moving fast around love and it is there potentially, but are you spending so much time on work that you're not giving the time to this? So there is something about how you're using your routines. Also, the planet Mercury rules the sixth house, so how are you communicating in this situation? Okay, and we're also going to ask for one card from the White Fly Tarot as some advice around this. Knight of Swords. Oh my goodness. Now I said the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Swords are the ones that go really quickly. So there is something very speedy about this. I do think, though, that's interesting because this suggests there's great passion in whatever this is. The Knight of Swords, again, you do have to be careful about the time, but again, it's saying things are moving quickly. But the Knight of Swords is very, very much in their mind. I think this might be a clue. It's saying there is so much happening, but there's either a balance around your work and your routines, or you need to think about how you're doing this. As I say, if it's a love relationship, it's got a lot of positive energy potentially, but there is an issue around where you're putting your focus and what sort of structure you have. So that's the first question. Okay, we're now going to move to the second question. So again, pause if you need to. Otherwise, please think about your question as I shuffle the revolving time oracle. So the answer to the second question for pile 1 is yes again. Time is not available. There must be something about, I would say most of you are going through a lot of changes or decisions in your life at the moment where things are moving quickly and it's hard to know. This is the Judgment card. There is something about, and fire again, you're very passionate, very creative, very, very much a sort of a person of action and ideas and so forth. But Judgment card says there's something about this that has the nature of a calling to it. Now, what I will always say about the Judgment card is that because of that nature, it is a choice that you can make. And so if you, again, didn't want yes, you can actually make the opposite decision and move it towards no. That is within your power. But it's how and when you make a choice, because there might be some options in front of you. And this is the sort of choice where if you don't choose one of them, you've effectively chosen neither. So it's not like you can put this off. So again, time is moving fast. There may even be some connection between the two for you, because for those that this might be around work, you may be about to have a couple of offers and you're going to have to make a decision, otherwise they go off the table. But certainly, yes, just timing is just not clear around this for you. Let's see a wild card for the second question. Message. Pay attention, a message is on the way. Yes, something's coming through. This, I feel with this one, it's yet to come through. You might have an inkling of it. You may have a feeling that there's sort of a calling or an option, or that the options are coming to you. And I definitely think this is a sign that yes, it is. But something is coming through. And I think there's a sense, again, birds, the nights, there's a sense of speed around all of this. I think that for most of you, you're going to have to make these decisions pretty quickly, because the opportunities look very positive for you. Okay, let's see what guidance from the stars we can get for you from astrology. The 11th house. Okay, so this energy had a lot to do with your day-to-day routines and how you served others and or work. This has a lot to do with your social connections, social media, those sorts of things. It could be a message by social media. And look, that could be as simple as an email coming with a job offer, for instance, or with an opportunity to go out or something like that, if this is around romance. There's definitely a connection to your friends. There's definitely a sense of change around this, with Uranus being the ruling planet. So there's something in both of these questions that have to do with how you connect with other people, how you serve other people, your kind of role in that sense, and also how you get on with other people. Wouldn't surprise me for some of you if there's potentially job or vocational opportunities coming through, maybe in social media or something that is very socially and sort of professional network involved. And there is definitely an opportunity coming through. Let's get what we have for advice for you from the White Fly Tarot. Knight of Wands, but this was reversed. Now that's interesting because you've got the Knight of Wands there. I do think for many of you there could be a connection. There doesn't have to be. If there isn't, that's fine. Just go with whatever your question is. But I think this is saying that I feel if these two questions are connected, I think what this is saying is that there is a lot happening very quickly around this, and thinking about what you want is important in whatever the situation is. Once this message comes through, you're then going to be able to slow things down a bit and really consider the impacts of things. So there's some unknown quantities in this, which is why time is not available, but a message is going to let you know that the decision is coming through. If they aren't connected, then this is saying that there is something, once you actually get the message, then there's almost a kind of a conservative sort of like pulling back, to do what you need to do in this situation. This calling is actually going to require you to slow down a bit once you make the decision. So the speed and the sort of time uncertainty is around till the decision is made. Okay, so let's do the third question, pile one. So again, pause if you need to, but for now I'm shuffling to ask for pile one for the answer to their third question. Okay, we're going to need more than one card for this because we didn't get a direct answer. Moon phases. This of the three, I think, is going to be the least easy to get a clear answer for, because we have the moon being what Spirit was saying was to draw you to this, and that is where things are hidden. And moon phases, I think, would show that maybe more and more information will come up at various stages of the moon phases. I would be thinking particularly things like waxing gibbous moon, where you can clarify goals and you can push past blocks, and also maybe the last quarter moon, where you break down the old, you prepare for the new, and so forth. But I'm going to pull another card because I do want an answer for you for your third question. Okay, and the answer is yes. So even though there's a lot to still know about this and still to come through, and it may take at least a month, I would say. This says don't miss the opportunity when the time comes. So it's all of these, I think, timing is tricky for you for some reason with the questions you're doing, but I think it's within a month or just after a month, because if you go through the full cycles of the moon. So I think there's a hint there, and it's coming up. Everything's coming up quickly. Again, the answer is yes. This is the sun. So this is about really achieving goals, and this is about material outcomes. So if you're looking for something that has a material outcome, then this is a very positive thing. Again, if you are wanting a no, I think this is still saying you can shine the light on it and shift the energy to go to what you want. You are meant to be successful, but at the moment it's tilting towards yes being the answer. Let's see what the wild card is for you. Growth, yeah, abundance, growth. And that even fits with the moon phases, there's a bit of time, but there's particular opportunities where it's important to sort of focus in to grow. So very, very positive, I would say. Let's have a look at the stars. 10th house. It's interesting. You've got all the houses here. This is really trying to tell you where things, there's a lot around career, who you are in the world. Like the 6th house is the only house that's in the lower part of the chart, and I think that's because it's service to others. But like the 11th, 10th and 11th, this is very public. I think there's something very public about what you're doing. Like it doesn't have to be that, you're on Netflix or something, though some of you might be. But there's something that is about you in the world. There's something about you and the vocation. This is excellent. It's like having the sun in the 10th house. That's a beautiful energy for you. So very positive, I would say. Let's just finish off with a piece of advice around this third question. The other thing I'm getting actually suddenly, sun and moon. If all of these is around love, or if this one is around love, this is a growth opportunity. It's going to be something, there's a kind of visibility about it, and like it has to do with your personal brand. But sun and moon together is the alchemical wedding, so very, very positive. Let's get, finally, as I say, a piece of advice from White Fly Tarot for you. The Fool reversed. Okay, now this is interesting. For a start, whatever this isn't the first time you've sort of been dealing with this sort of issue, and you've learnt a lot. So you're maybe there's something new that's going to grow, and this is a very good sign that you're not naive, that you will move forward and you take what you've understood from the past and help it grow. It's also a sign of like slowing down a bit. So the whole energy around this pole, and I think the questions that you've been asking, there is something about speed. There's like, it's the starting point of all of this is quite quick and the timing is very volatile. The answers are all positive, and it's all about growth and about getting the messages and the information you need and how you structure things. But once you've actually worked it out, it's like you slow things down then and you really concentrate on what you're doing. So I hope that this resonated. I hope that it answered the questions for you. If so, let me know if this is working for you as a format, if you have time, in the comments. But beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pole 2, to your reading. So we're starting with a very blank canvas because we're just going to go question by question. So what I would ask you to do is, if you already know your question, then please focus on it while I'm shuffling the Revolving Time Oracle, which will give us the first part of the answer. If you don't know, pause the video, contemplate, meditate on it, and then press go again to get the answer. But I'm just going to shuffle, put out the cards, and go question by question. So this is question 1, so please focus on question 1, pile 2. And the answer is... Okay, we're going to need more than one card because this isn't giving us an answer, but what it is telling us is there's something about the past associated with this. So if you, regardless, even if it isn't sort of something that instantly is something to deal with something from the past, there's something in the past that helps give you the answer if you contemplate it. But let's get another card to see what else we have. Okay, we've got no, and we've got the Hermit. So I feel these two things together. Virgo season, there could be something important about Virgo season, so around about September-ish in the year. It could be something in the past around that time. There could even be patterns that occur. I've certainly seen in my chart that certain things tended to happen at certain times of the year. So that could be, Virgo could be important, something that happened in Virgo season in the past. But whatever this is, the answer is no. It looks as though you need to kind of go within to contemplate. Now, as what I'm saying with all of these is, if the answer you are hoping for was yes, it doesn't mean you can't do it. I mean, all of this is subject to you understanding and making decisions and shifting the energy. That's the point about tarot and so forth. But it would suggest that to move it to a yes, you need to go within. But certainly, if you were asking, for instance, if an ex is coming back, someone from the past, should you get involved with them? I would say the answer is no. So it sort of depends what your question is, but going within is where you will get the answer. But at the moment, the energy is tilting towards no. Let's see a wild card around this question. And if it's around work or something like that, and it's should you go back to a workplace or should you go to another one? If you had a problem, for instance, in a workplace in the past and you're thinking about a new one, there could be a no because it's going to be very similar. So see how those two things connect. There's something about the past. A wild card for you around this question is soul family, chosen family, others you connect with deeply. So there may be, for many of you, because this is a deeply spiritual card, there may be a question about, who is in your soul family, and it may be that you've connected with spiritual people or others that were not right for you in the past. You are meant to be able to earth and ground this energy And Virgo is quite discriminating, and not in a negative way. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean discriminating in its positive way, in being able to sort of really work out what works for you. You know, not discrimination in terms of invalid things like race or identity. It's more around discrimination as a positive thing. There's something about that for you. This is meant to bring in your soul family. You're not meant to be with the wrong people. It almost feels to me like there's something about that where that's something you have to consider. Let's get some astrological support for you. Fixed. Okay. You may be a little bit stubborn, Pole 2, I have to say, or you may be around people with incredibly fixed views. And I think this might be the question. It's like, do you often come across people, particularly spiritually or in beliefs, where you feel that there's a connection, but then you feel ostracized in a way because they're very fixed in their views. This may be a pattern. This might be asking you to look at a pattern around it. If this is around work, it might suggest that, again, if you were looking to move on, then you actually will find more of what you want where you are. Stay fixed, stay anchored to where you are. Okay, let's get a piece of advice from the tarot. So I shuffled the moon card back in case that turns out to be the advice, but let's see what the tarot advice is for this question number 1. Knight of Cups reverse. Okay, there is some sort of an offer around you. There is. Like whether it's a love relationship, whether it's, career, friendship, creative opportunity, whatever it is that you're asking about, there's a kind of an offer or there's one coming around you. And I think what Spirit is saying is that there is some past pattern you need to be aware of, because right now it doesn't feel like the right thing to do. I think it's almost doubling down on the no, to be honest, with the Knight of Cups reversed. It might be appealing, but it's not going to be what it appears. So as I say, if it's a career thing, it's probably no, don't move to something else. It doesn't mean necessarily don't move in work. It might be look for another job again, because it just feels like you get caught in a pattern. And what you're meant to do is find the right people for you, but it's almost like there's a pattern where you've found the wrong ones. This is why it's saying go within. Okay, I hope that resonates for you, Pole 2, because I think it's a fairly strong message. So let's go to your second question. So again, if you know what that is, think about it now. If you need to pause. But for now, I'm now asking Spirit for the answer to question number 2 for Pole 2. And the answer is, again, you're one that has many layers. We're going to have to pull another card. This has got something to do with who you are and being authentic to yourself in some way. There is an impact on that. Your self-esteem, your self-image, all of those sort of things in this question. Let's ask again for the answer to the question. Okay, we've got the Page of Swords. Yes, so this answer is yes. And this is about being curious. It's about getting communication. Page of Swords is about communication. Winter season is a potential time for you where you maybe will start to be able to explore whatever this is and how it could impact you. But there's certainly a sense of whatever it is of, yes, go forward, have a look at this, consider it. I always think with the Page of Swords, as I say, there's a lot of communication associated with it. So it's almost like it's the first step of a question. And I think that might be why we got both cards. It may be whatever you're asking about, it may be open-minded to it. And by winter season, you may have a good idea about whether then it's something you want to go forward with. Let's have a look at the wild card for you. Gamble. Okay, yeah, because there's a bit of a risk around some of this. But it's like it's a healthy risk to look at. That's why it's look at it, be curious, look into whatever this is more. If it's a new relationship, give it a go, see what happens. Just be curious about it. Don't be looking for the answer immediately. If it's, like around work and it's sort of different, say, to this question, or even if it's how to deal with this question, be curious, be open, but don't make the decision before you know what the implication is for yourself. And or you will have more clarity by winter season. So if it's a job, unless winter is nearby, that may not be connected. But there is a little bit of a risk around this, but you can play with that. There's not sort of something to say don't do it. I think with the yes, it's saying you should gamble on this. Have a look into it, explore it a bit more. Let's get you a astrology card. Sagittarius, freedom, what you believe in. There could be something connecting this, which is around spiritual choices. If you're kind of like trying to find your spiritual team, your spiritual group, I think from this you've kind of found people that were too fixed, too rigid, and you may, with what you're kind of looking at right now, still do that. But if you are open, you can like look for the freedom and the connection. Or you are much more of a free spirit, I would say. And that is part of this. Like part of this is to be free and to explore. So do that. This could also say travel. So if it's about travel, should you travel? You know, yes, it's going to be good for you. Okay, and winter season, maybe it's, travel to somewhere warmer so that you can enjoy that. All right, so let's get you a card from the Lilith and the Machine Tarot for some advice. The Two of Swords. Yeah, it's a choice. You don't have everything you need yet. Saying it all on whatever this is, it's saying overall the energy is good and positive, but it's good and positive towards exploring what's going on with this and being open-minded to it. You will eventually get the information, but right now you don't, and you really need to kind of do that to work out how this is going to impact your self-esteem, your self-belief, whatever it might be. Okay, so pile 3, now pile 2, we're going to now do question 3. Pile 2, we're going to do question 3. So if you can focus on your third question, as I said, pause if you need to. I'm shuffling the revolving time oracle for the third question for pile 2. And the answer is... Oh, beautiful. Yes. So while we had a kind of no to start with, there's a couple of yeses. And again, look, you may not want yes as an answer. And as I keep saying, if you don't, then it's like take the advice to work out how to move it towards a no if that's what you want. But this is saying don't miss opportunities when the time comes. I feel these two things could be connected in some way. They don't have to be. But if they are, it's a double confirmation that, yeah, you're going to get some chances to do things. So don't miss that. You will be able to ground them with earth, and it's the sun. So this is a very, very positive. Like if you were looking for a yes, this is like a double yes. It's a very positive sign. Let's have a look at the wild card. Message. That's interesting. That came up for one or the other. So some of you may be coming to more than one reading. So this is saying something. You are going to hear something. Something's coming through. And as I say, I do feel for some of you, these two are connected, but they don't have to be. But information is coming through. And I think it's a very positive message with the sun. I think it's a very positive energy around this. Let's have a look at the astrology around it. Venus. If it's about love, then it's very positive, and you're going to get a message or something that does like make you feel very positive to move forward. There's sort of like someone coming in, a connection that is worth exploring. If it's not about love, then there's something about this that is going to be sort of beautiful and or, like affirming of your divine feminine qualities, your creativity, all of those sorts of things. Okay, so let's get a piece of advice. I do think this is very, very positive. Even if we get advice that's a bit equivocal, I think it will be just to get the maximum out of this. But let's see what Spirit wants to say by virtue of tarot. Four of Wands. Yeah, this is lovely. This energy overall is really lovely. If you are connecting all this and you're looking for your soul family, if I was looking at these as 3 connected questions, I would say things in the past have not been right. You've had very rigid, difficult people around you. There are things coming through. Exploration is the thing to do. You don't have all the answers yet, but explore. That is going to bring you success, and you're going to find your people, because this is the card of finding your people. Happy love relationships, happy sort of families, happy teamwork. So I think we're seeing a bit of a kind of a gradation. And if they are very different questions, like they're on very different topics, there's something in how you are addressing this one, I think, that would help you be curious and also help you break free in whatever there's an energy around this where I think that you could actually use this to solve and answer the other questions a little bit more definitively in the way that you would want. So I hope that resonated for you, pile 2. I hope it was enjoyable. I'd love to hear in the comments, if you have time, whether this works for you as a format. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So we start with a very empty vista because we're just going to build each question one by one on this. So as I said in the intro, you get to ask the questions. Questions that have a yes, no, or a timing format are best, but you can always extrapolate beyond that if you need. If you know what your first question is, I'm shuffling the cards now for the answer to the first question, then just think about it. If you don't know, pause the video, think, and then turn it back on again once you are in the energy of the question. But we're asking now, Spirit, what is the answer to the first question for pile 3? Yes. This is Emperor. This is probably about some form of ambition you have. It could be work. It doesn't have to be work. It could be ambition to have the love of your life. It could be anything. But there is passion around this, and you are able to kind of have your own sovereignty in whatever this issue is. So yes is very powerful. Aries season is a time where particular breakthroughs may occur for you, so around about March. So that's potentially coming up fairly soon, depending upon when you watch this. You could have a connection to Aries as well, and it could be a double yes that connects to you. But in any case, this is a yes. Now, as I've been saying in all of these, if you had wanted a no, then there is something about your ambition, your action, and power around you that you need to consider to shift that to a no. So the clue is in, this is around, ambition, power, energy, sovereignty, divine masculine energies, all of those sort of things. At the moment, the answer is heading towards yes. But there's a lot about action and activity and sovereignty in this. So I do feel very strongly that if you wanted to know, you could potentially shift it, and the rest of the cards then might show you how. But let's get a wild card around it. I think for most of you, this is a very positive yes to a question that is about something in your life path. The wild card is options. Explore all your options. So, okay, if this is around work, career, ambition, creativity, or whatever, it's saying you're going to have a number of options. You need to explore them because this needs to be your choice. And maybe Aries season is a particular time where options come in for you, either this time around, or it might be something astrologically for you that tends to happen around that time of year. Aries season is also new beginnings. It's the first sign in the zodiac, so it would suggest that there's some options coming that give you a new lease on life, a new direction, and so forth. But it is definitely saying don't rush in. You can have yes, you can have your sovereignty. It needs to be what you truly want, and you need to align it. And if it's a relationship, then yes, but you might have more than one option to consider around who you would want to sort of connect with. Okay, let's get a astrology piece of advice or information around this question. Chiron. Okay, there's something about healing with this. It could be, if you have felt thwarted before with your ambitions, you're going to have options that are very healing. It could be that you're doing something in terms of healing, in terms of your job. If this is around a love match, there's something very healing about the love match, because remember saying yes. And again, if you did want it to be no, then there's something you need to heal so that you can actually pick the right option, because it might be at the moment you're tilting towards A, but what you really need to see, there's some healing to do. All right, so let's get the advice from the Holy Spectrum Tarot. So I've shuffled the moon card back in case it turns out to be the piece of advice. So what advice does Spirit have for you about this question? King of Wands reversed. Now that's interesting because in some ways, there's a kind of a connection in my mind, certainly between the Emperor and the King of Wands when it's upright. So this would suggest there is some healing, that either this yes, if this is something you want to do, or a love that you want to have, if you consider your options and make sure it's the one that is the most healing for you, that will actually heal a bit of a wound around either your sort of heart or the way that you express passion and so forth. You may in fact have had an issue around relationships before where there's been somebody who's been overly dominating. And so this heals that energy. So I feel if it's about relationship, it's saying, yes, consider your options and think about what one is the most healing for that, so that you don't end up, if you've had a pattern of that before, you're meant to have your own sovereignty. This is around career, then this is healing a block. You're going to have options and you'll have the opportunity to move forward. But there's been some sort of competition or ego stuff you've had to deal with, but it's meant to be healed with those two together. So that's very positive, I think, pole 3. So let's go to your second question. Again, pause if you need to, but I'm asking now, Spirit, what is the answer to the second question for pole 3? Okay, we're going to need to get more than one because it's not giving an answer day. It suggests that whatever the answer is, the light of the day, there's going to be illumination on this. There's the answer. This is probably something that's been a bit cloaked and a bit hard to know the answer to, but you are going to get information to have it come through. So let's let Spirit start with that by giving us the yes/no answer. Oh, and in the end it goes hope. Okay. There's something for you. There is healing. I think that many of you may have, and I don't know if these two things are connected, but you may have been thwarted before in love or career or whatever. Options are coming through to heal all that. This is like, it's a big thing around this question of like, keep that sort of fire of hope going. It's justified. Let's try one more time for the yes, no answer. Memories. Okay. All right. I don't think this wants to give a yes, no. I think this is saying that there is something around your memories of the hope that you've always had that's about to be illuminated. So I would take this in combination as yes for what you want. So if what your answer, if you wanted a no, then probably this is where it's going. But there's understanding to bring hope up from memories of something that you maybe kind of didn't believe in, you can now start to believe in it again. And if you wanted a yes, I think the answer is there. But there's something about remembering something and bringing to the light what the hope was. So this is quite hidden, but I feel like it's about to become unhidden, but you have to do the work to regain the hope. So very interesting. Let's have a look at your wild card around this. If it's not going to be definitive on yes, no, let's see what else we can get. So your wild card, arrow. You need to pull back to move forward even further. Yeah, you need to sort of look back to work out what you want. Then you can focus. So I think Spirit is saying the answer to this question is within you and within your memories and remembering what you hope for so that you refocus your energy. So I think it's a positive. I think it's a cloaked yes, to be honest, if yes was what you were looking for. It's a cloaked whatever you wanted, actually, but you have to do the work to focus. Let's have a look at the astrology energy around it. South Node, yeah, there's something you're moving away from. So whatever these memories were, the hope of what you had can be revived, but you have to focus in a new way. But there's something that you are meant to move away from that has been holding you back. Okay, let's get a piece of advice from the tarot for you. There could be something karmic around all of this as well too, with the South Node. Queen of Cups. So again, that's a really positive card. It is emotional authenticity. This is like clearing out the energy from the past, reviving hope and illumination, focusing, going away from what hasn't worked before or karma. I also think in this particular deck, it's very interesting we've got the Queen of Cups because she's in the rain. It's like the rain is meant to sort of wash away what didn't work. I do think this is a profoundly positive energy for you, but I think it may be on a profoundly painful issue. So this is to revive your hope and to know that the rain is going to wash away what isn't working for you. It's time to focus and move forward. Okay, a little bit heavy, but good, I think, pile 3. So, okay, now we're going to move to your third question, pile 3. So again, if you need to, pause the video to focus in on it. Otherwise, just focus now as I shuffle. So we're asking to the answer to the question 3 for pile 3, Spirit. The answer is maybe. So this is the King of Swords. So there's something about balance and thought and justice around this. Like, it's really interesting. Like, to have things like the Emperor and then to have the King of Swords and then have this. For some of you, if this is around career and stuff and you have been thwarted, as I say, by egos, I do think that some past dream can be revived and cleared up. And it's your integrity and it's your honesty compared to what you're around. But it's a bit of an equivocal environment with maybe. You will have some sense of this within weeks. So things are starting to move quickly. And if it's something different, it's a maybe. It could go either way. But the thing that's important is for you to be true to yourself. In a matter of weeks, you're going to have a sense of this more clearly. Let's see what the wild card is. Tea time. Take a break, sip a cuppa, have a snack, and make time for yourself. Okay, I think this is saying the information you need is coming through. It's not here yet. It's not going to come in this reading, but it is telling you it's coming soon. So kind of give yourself a break. Just as long as when information comes through and you start to have the decision to make that you stick to what is integral to you, you'll be fine. You can kind of almost relax. Things are trying to move in your direction, I think, around this issue. So let's get an astrology card for you. Sagittarius, there's something freeing in this energy and there's something philosophically important. Be true to your philosophy, true to your beliefs. Temperance is the tarot card that relates to this. So there's balance. It's all about balance, your own internal balance. Like kind of, this is really saying it could go either way, but relax, because you're going to know what to do when you get some information in a few weeks' time, because you're very balanced. You know what you need to do. Okay, and so last but not least, let's get the tarot advice around this question. Page of Wands. Okay, so the advice here, whenever I see a page, I think the advice is very clear. It is always saying to focus on what you want in that element, because pages, you've been through the Ace to 10. Once you get to the page, it's like you're going to the next level, and you can really start to focus what you want. And ultimately, if these things are related, to turn the King of Wands around and have your ambition with the Emperor. But these don't have to be related as questions. But this is saying really focus on what you want in terms of creativity, passion, what you would want to do, how you would want to act in the world, how you would want to be free, because you're going to get an opportunity to do that. And the best thing you can do is know what you want to do. This fits with why this is saying maybe, because I feel like you've got to kind of relax, just kind of work out what you want, just envision that. That's all you need to do, because there's a liberation point coming, and it will come in a few weeks around this issue. And then you'll be able to make a decision. And as long as you're in balance with what you want to create, the answer is going to be what you want it to be, in whether it was yes or no that you were looking for. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope that answered the question. So for you, of all the groups, there's a little bit of an equivocal side to this, but equally I have every faith that you're heading towards what you need around these questions, and you have a lot of input, I think, to the outcome. I think you have more input to the outcome of this than external events by and large. So I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments whether this format works for you, I'd love to hear. As I said in the intro, I'm going to do maybe a couple of these, maybe 2 or 3, see how they go, see how people like them. And if they do like them, do them sort of semi-regularly. But, as always, I'm going to sort of see how they work and whether people resonate with them. So I'd love to hear about that. But beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings.